I'm Kathy, and I had gastric bypass performed by Dr. Monash approximately 2.5 years ago.
Hi, I'm Joel. I had gastric bypass 2.5 years ago by Dr. Monash.
And we're married. We've been married 39 years, and it was the best thing we ever did for each other. I had gastric bypass because it was recommended by my heart doctor. I was very, very heavy, and I'd already had a open heart surgery, and I decided this was the best thing I could possibly do in order to keep quality in my life.
I had gastric bypass surgery 2.5 years ago. Thank you, I know I said that. I had gastric bypass surgery to help my arthritis in my ankles and my knees. I couldn't lose the weight by walking or couldn't run because of the arthritis, so this helped relieve the pain in my knees and ankles, which allowed me to walk more.
He decided to have it. He let me go first, and 3 months later he decided he wanted to do it too because he'd seen what I had accomplished.
I'd say walk farther without pain in my knees and ankles is the best improvement, and walk longer, of course.
For me, that's part of the same thing as being able to walk farther. But I can also climb stairs, which I couldn't do before. I would get out of breath and I couldn't breathe, but now I can. We chose Dr. Monash to begin with because it was a doctor recommendation. After I first went to see him the first time, I knew he was for us. He was a very caring doctor and seemed to be very concerned about my health.
Kathy went before I did, about 3 months before I did. The procedure was good and for her, and I thought it would help the arthritis in my legs, my knees, and my ankles, so I let her be the guinea pig and go first.
When I went back to school after the summer, my kids were just totally amazed at my weight loss. They could not believe I was the same teacher that had been there 3 months before. They were just in awe, and their comments kept me going. It was like, you can do this, Mrs. L, let's just keep going, and that was just something that pushed me.
The comments I got at work was, "Hey, skinny." Just the other day, I saw a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in 2 years, and he told me, "Wow, you're sure looking good." And I told him, well, it's all due to the gastric bypass surgery that I had done.
I remember one day I was at the commissary. We were doing our weekly grocery shopping, and I encountered a previous coworker that I hadn't seen in 2 years or more. And she looked at me and I said hello and called her by name, and she kept looking at me, and her daughter poked her and told her who I was, and she goes, "Well, what did you do with the other half of you?" She just could not believe that I had lost as much as I had and looked the way I looked. During some of our conversations, I've had friends or coworkers ask me, why I had it done, and I go into the details about my health problems, and then they ask me if I would give them any advice, and I always tell them that it was the best thing that I ever did for myself. I wanted to see my grandkids grow up and get married, and I would tell them, the gastric bypass is the way to go. That it's not always easy, but the results are so worth it. How about you?
Well, I've recommended Dr. Monash to quite a few people who've asked me about my weight loss. And I told them that if you can't exercise and diet, this was one of the best choices there are for them to make. And I gave them his little business card that I had the appointment slip on, so they could give him a call and set up an appointment. sad about gastric bypass surgery. It has cost me a fortune in buying new clothes for the shrinking bodies.
But it's so much fun to go shopping.